Go live where? There we go.
And there we are. We're live. I thought I'd get a countdown. I don't know how Rob does the countdown, but, welcome to Counter Charge Live. I don't think I've gone live once smoothly yet where I've realised we've been live. I'm joined today by a special guest, Tony Windmill, while we await Rob, who's driving back from an event. How you going, Tony?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, I'm good. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience, people that might not know you? Well, no,
Well,
let's be honest, So.
if you're sitting around the place, I'm not usually use the handle Windmill, which was my orc name from Warhammer Fantasy Battle Days. I only pretty much play Kings of War, don't play anything else. I used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battle. So I was a sort of a convert back when good old Games Workshop blew up the planet. Sent the lizards back to where the hell they came from, and we all effectively got the shits with Games Workshop and went looking for a new game system. And I think all the Australian guys came back from Masters with copies of the Kings of War rulebook, and we read it and went, that'll do. We get to use all their toys. All systems seem simpler and better. So I've been playing Kings of War since basically the start of version 2.
Yeah, right. We've got our first comment from Michael Geld there.
Here we go.
Yeah. I let him on, Geldy. He's ahead of the line of you, that's for sure. Yeah, and so some people might have heard you on an episode where you discussed getting into wargaming via, I think, battleships on your lounge room floor.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess the long-term gamer here in Canberra, Dave Gray, used to be a Napoleonic wargamer. Probably even to this day, has more toy soldiers than anybody I know, including Nick Prosser, even including Michael Geld's unpainted models, right? So we used to go to his place. We used to Gilly. We used to go to his place, and his daughter would clear the lounge room floor, and we'd put out these 1/70 scale, I think they were, battleships. 1/720 scale, I can't remember. They were that big. And we would replay naval battles from World War II, essentially. Dave at that time had a representative painted model for every ship in every navy in World War II. Yeah, a lot of ships. And so, we used to spend Friday night doing that, and then clipped into, it was Axis and Allies out at his office in Fishwick for 6 months. And then we got the Warhammer Fantasy Battle.
Yeah, right. And you're obviously local to me. I mean, we're locked down at the moment, but it's your house that hosts Monday night gaming every night?
Yep, which has currently been set up as a gym.
Oh, right. Yeah. A gym, did you say?
Yeah, the youngest has returned our weight set, so I've moved down into the shed. And now my wife wants to go there every hour and lift weights.
Oh, right. Well, it won't take us long to boot them back out. Yeah.
Probably do some sit-ups, maybe.
Here we go.
Oh, videotape.
Yeah. You'll videotape. You mean you'll watch some sit-ups on YouTube?
Yes. And
what's your jam when it comes to armies, Tony? What do you got first in the shed?
Don't have any elves. Don't have any dwarves. Got pretty much everything else. So we've got a massive Kingdoms of Men army, which we acquired from Mike Crossman, which we use for all men things. We've got ogres, we've got undead, demons for Unga, orcs, lots of goblins, big rat army that I never use because I can't seem to get my head into rats for the latest set of rat rules. But yeah, got a very big rat army. I think that's it. Multiple copies of some.
And what's your current jam?
Very, very simplistic herd army with a scrum and a back line, basically. which I either win big with or lose big with. Ratio of about, I don't know, 1 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Is that one to 5, 1 win to 5 losses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got robbed the other day playing Michael bloody Clark. I was robbed.
You were robbed?
6 turns.
Robbed by what?
By a 7th turn.
Yeah.
his Frostfang cavalry finally got out of the hole in the bloody corner that he buried them in. Silly bugger. I assume he's watching. He parked them in a corner behind an obstacle and stuck 2 units in front. I was very lucky to have deployed a fast flying unit nearby. So I dropped them in front and then just started feeding harpies and gur panthers into this blocked up corner of the board. But unfortunately, on turn 7, he finally freed the buggers up and went and took the tokens off me.
Yeah, right. Actually, that's a good point. You and I are playing in a local UB tournament at the moment. Why don't you? Do you want to flick your list to me on Messenger and we can share it? But I should be able to figure out how to share mine. I'm fiddling with some Trident Realms. I don't know what other people think, of the whole 4 people viewing the stream right now about Trident Realms. I find them a really fascinating army. Let's just see.
So I'll flick this down on Messenger.
Yep.
I should have thought about it a bit more, to be honest, because most folks, except for Clarky and I, ran different armies to what we would normally run. I absolutely should have done that. Like, I should have Night Stalkers probably. I should have had a crack at, because you can do that on UB, yeah.
Yep. So here we go. I'm sharing mine at the moment. So this is what I'm running. Okay. So I'm running Trident Realms, and we should put out there that there's rules built into the pack for this one, that you can't take more than 2 of a size of anything. So I would be able to take 2 troops of Heart Piercers and 2 regiments if I wanted, and also that the restrictions are basically 0 to 2 for the whole army.
It's Michael Clark's anti-spam ethos.
Yeah.
Most people won't know who Michael Clark is because he's almost unknown in the community, but who is Michael Clark?
Yeah. And so so this is my list. So I've got 2 regiments of Heart Piercers, 2 regiments of Tidal Swarm, 2 hordes of Earth Elementals, a horde of Naiad Worm Riders, 2 Knuckers, a Coral Giant, Leviathan's Bane, 2 Centurions, and a Thule Aquamage, which has replaced Icy Breath with Surge and has Shroud of the Saint, as well as the Rising Tides Aura, which is Wild Charge +1. So I thought the healing would be cool on top of a fair bit of stuff with regen. So interesting thing about this for me is coming from Dwarves. I think it has some similar play styles to Dwarves in that it's an incredibly defensive list. It doesn't output. Yeah, doesn't output a lot of hurt. Although, I know Taz talked for ages about how hard Worm Riders are to use, and they are. Given their depth 4, they still die pretty quickly. But using Ensnare has been interesting. Have you played against Ensnare much, Tone?
No, not really. Yeah, I think. Well, I have actually. I've played this list before, or pretty much, and you forget it. Like, you make all your calculations predicated on, if I charge this at that, this is really reason the goblins, right? How hard can it be? And you get there and you go, oh, I'm stuck. I'm not going anywhere. So they're really good tar pits. Naiad Heart Piercers are excellent, I reckon.
Yeah, if I had my time again, I'd probably also add a troop. So I've got 3 units of those, so that I wouldn't be breaking the double rule. I'd have a troop and 2 regiments, or the other way around, 2 troops and a regiment. With the steady aim and hitting on 4s, they can put out a bit of hurt in the turn, given they've got the piercing. We don't see a lot of piercing shooting still in the game, so I think it can take you by surprise.
Yeah, the meta which I don't play, which I kind of struggle with, is I think Steve Devonish is in our crew is probably the best at it. Is that medium nibble shoot? Like, and Tracy does it as well. Just enough shooting to be really freaking annoying and to, you know, eat away at the resilience of the opponent until turn 3-4 when you finally get into combat. And then as long as they can survive that first round, which these things can, then the counter charge will take you out because you've already got wounds. It's I think heavy shooting is a problem, and then no shooting like my list is a problem. But a list like this is excellent.
Yeah, and it looks like Rob won't be joining us tonight. He's a bit tired after his drive back from a tournament, so that's okay. I find the water elementals really interesting too. So what I wanted to go for is a reasonably rapidly moving list, not a drag the chain list. And even the tidal swarm can do it to an extent. Like even though they're only speed 5, they're speed 5 with nimble, so you can still move 10 and pivot. You know, so you can still exert a fair bit of board control with them.
Yeah.
And I think having ensnaring chaff is awesome.
Yeah, 100% sticks around. Do you have any surge in here?
Yes. So the Thule Aquamage has Surge 8 instead of Icy Breath.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And another thing I haven't been able to use it well yet, but the Coral Giant, that's really cool. Having a giant with ensnare.
And on resolve.
Yeah. Like a lot of things, like a lot of the giants, hitting on 4s is a big problem. So like even if you max out the attacks at D6 plus 6, you know, it's at so 12 attacks, you're still only going to hit, you know, most commonly 6 times. So it really is meant as a grinding unit.
That's what I reckon. The Cavern Dweller's like beyond the best giant in the game. That D6 plus 6 hits on 3s. Ouch.
Yeah. Yep. And then what is it? Life Leech 3 if it takes a bit of hurt.
Yeah.
I think it's only Def 4 though, isn't it?
Can't remember. Hang on. The Clarky listing.
Yeah, but I've seen a couple of things do well like that. But my favourite unit of all in the Trident Realms list is the Nucker.
That's Def 5.
Yeah, right. Okay. So the Nucker, you know, being Pathfinder, stealthy, ensnare, 6 attacks, nimble, speed 9. Oh, I love that for 150 points.
That's pretty close to Tracy's favourite unit, I think.
Yeah, just again, exert. You still can't let it in a flank, you know, because it's then going up to 12 attacks with effectively -2 because you're only ever losing that Thunderous if you've, you know, taken damage in combat. So, you know, and you really it should only be getting it in combat, you know, when you want it to be, really, with speed 9 and nimble on a little square base, little 50 miller. Yeah.
Can't wait to play you. It'll be good.
Yeah. Well, you know, yeah, I can't wait for another win either, mate.
Hilarious. We might have a side bet.
All right, let's see if I can get your list up.
I got to get through Owen yet. Owen, who we can no longer consider to be a beginner. Quietly. After he gave Mr. Goodman a run for his money.
Okay, let's see if I can get your list up here. Obviously, I'm a real whiz with this. Oh man, this has got to be the best looking show we've ever had. Just the two of us, I reckon.
No, mate. Bit more whiskey back there.
Yeah. All right, here's your list, Tony Windmill. Take us through.
So you could have sort of. It's pretty simple. You got. Well, what I normally do is run a really solid centre and then a fast flank, and I've moved it around over time, lots and lots. But I tend to move it towards more faster flank, and then like I've put ogres in for the centre. I've played with orcs as the centre, just as allies. But essentially, you've got a hard centre which you try and deny a flank with, and then a wing that you've got to go over and alpha strike. Your opponent's wing. Unfortunately, most of the people that I play with here in Canberra are very familiar with that particular technique, and I get outplayed quite a bit. The key difference with this one, because I feel with adding in lots of surge or having high bane chant, or basically setting up the combat list where you have the treatment as Wilt Father instead of the normal treatment. For this one, I've gone for the maximum resilience I can in the centre. So you've got Tribal Warriors with Staying Stone, then you've got Forest Shamblers, and it's all backed up by a regular old treatment. And I've given the treatment anything. Which I didn't get to use in the last game, which is a bit of Iron Resolve. And then the druids have got healed, but one of them's got the Shroud of the Saint. So if you can get all that stuff to hang out together with regenning lichens, assuming you remember that you regen lichens, because I forgot in the last tournament, then you end up with really quite a resilient centre. Unless they properly alpha struck you, then you can typically bring it back and then grind out anything that comes across the table at you. So the idea is you deny a flank with that hard centre, and then Moonfang, his two mates, and a couple of harpies come around the flank and smash the flank, turn it sideways and go across.
Yeah, so for people at home, Toadie's usual response when you're rolling for first turn is, if I get first turn, you're fucked. and then you don't get first turn.
That's it. Well, playing a Pracky game on Friday night, which was largely, Clarkie, a bit of a Clarkie wine. I practiced against Mike List. I scouted, step everything forward, and then if I get first turn, he's in real trouble. But I didn't get first turn, so it was an exercise it was a lesson in don't overcommit, which is my number one failing in this game. I tend to push everything forward, expecting to win first and then every combat, and then when things don't quite go my way, it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would ever accuse you of having commitment issues, right?
No. I'm famous for being impatient.
Yeah, and distractible.
A little bit.
Yeah.
That one-on-one, I go okay, folks. But if I'm playing in a room full of other people, then my subconscious tends to focus on everything else in the room and not the game in front of me.
Not the table in front.
I'll know what's going on the table next to me, the table behind me. I'll be listening to a conversation over there. I won't have a clue what I'm going to do next when it becomes my turn. So
yeah.
I don't tend to do very well at tournaments. You get that.
Actually, have you got the link to the other lists?
Yeah, it's the Clarkie posted it. Hang on.
Yeah, if you flick that to me as well.
I think it's Kings of War. It's on Fanatics. No, we're not Fanatics. It's on.
No. It's
Australia.
Kings of War UB Australia.
It's a Google Drive.
Yeah. So again, this is a UB. No, I'd have to find it. If you've got it, can you flick it to me on Messenger?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you're much of a hobbyer, mate?
As in making models and painting them. I go through phases. Last phase was several years ago, if I'm being honest. I have recently gone back and started to glue some models back on some bases that have been busted off over time. So I guess that's a no.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a war of attrition going on in the shed armies we use, isn't there?
Yeah. They tend to bust
slowly breaks down. If anyone watching has any questions, feel free to shoot them through to us. Yeah, you got those lists there or not?
I'm looking. Calm down.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's posted in this bloody monster WhatsApp chat where I'll be faster just go and look on Kings of War. I thought it was on Kings of War Australia.
No, Kings of War UB Australia. Whatever that group's called. And how do you find UB as compared to in-person gaming?
Oh, I think it's real clever. But I find it, because I'm digital everything. I know some people object strenuously to universal battle over face to face. I do understand that, but I, in some respects, tend to prefer it. I don't like doing it by text, but yeah, for me, it's just I find it easy to concentrate. I think probably to do with there's fewer people floating around.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Forget it. I've got the link. You're useless.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's All right. Let's stop sharing here. Oh, it was sharing the right thing.
Well done,
Yeah. Right. Here we go. All right. So let's bring up a couple of interesting lists. Let's do the good man, the not so good man's. Here we go. Forces of nature. So we've got this is from Andrew Goodman, just remembering the restrictions on the account. So we've got a horde of naiad ensnarers with the hammer of measured force. So that's always hit on 4s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always hit on 4s or always damage on 4s? Always hit.
No, I think it hit on 4s down the bottom
there. Yeah. I think he's talking about you there, Tone, not me.
I missed that. What did he say?
On your screen now. Some people also have a face for UB. So
is that why you never come on the UB, Mr. Gill?
Yeah. Also a troop and regiment of heart piercers, a regiment of bray striders, 2 hordes of shamblers, 2 beasts, a hydra, interestingly, wilty, because who doesn't love wilty, and 2 flying unicorns, which one of them he's replaced heal, and one of them he's bought lightning bolt. So that's a fairly it's a fairly versatile list.
I've never seen a hydra played before.
Sorry?
I don't think I've ever seen a hydra on the table before.
No, I'd agree. I don't think I've ever played against a hydra. I think I ran a hydra once in version 2.
Oh, I have played against this. Clarky used to take it. This sort of the basic 5. The hydra has a number of additional attacks equal its current points of damage.
Yeah. So as it's getting more damaged, its attack value gets better.
Yeah. It's like a baby blood boil.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting unit in that if we just I can't highlight it. It's got quite high nerve value. So 1618 for a def 5, 150. Oh, it's gone to a Titan in version 3 for 150 points. So it's essentially, with its regen, a bit of a roadblock, but and a nice little anvil there, but then its offensive output can get better and better.
Yeah, why wouldn't you take 2 of those?
Well, also what's really interesting is it's got 2 rules which essentially cancel each other out. You got your regen, which heals you up, but that takes attacks away.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons I've mused on this before. I'd be interested to know what other people think, but I think one of the reasons we see less monsters in version 3 is because of the stronger move towards unit strength scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the combination of the scenarios plus the unlocks, I think, sort of moves everybody away from it. And I prefer it, to be honest. I really, really do. I love the ranks and flanks aspect of Kings of War. I also like the predictability of it when you're playing with hordes. I often miss some of the shenanigans around square bases and the disengaged charge rules, even with the update, where you've got to withdraw the full inch. Being able to charge for inside combat is still problematic. So I'm real happy with anything that limits the number of monsters.
Having said that, it also makes them incredibly hard to balance, right? So, if you want to see, because you don't want to see none on the table, right? They're often something that gives a lot of flavor to an army. But if you make them too cheap, then you're going to see too many, regardless of the unit strength changes.
Yeah. I think one of my favourite lists at the moment is Julian Murcutt's 3 giant list.
Yeah.
Is it 3 giants?
No, he's actually got 4, I think. He's got 3 giants plus Trim.
Yeah. It's I just love it. I think it's so fluffy, and everybody goes, "Oh God, 4 giants!" But it's like 1,000 points.
Yeah, 1,000 points of hitting on 4s.
Yeah, 1,000 points that can't really hit.
Yeah,
hard to kill. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
also
no, that's he's made that. And he's made that entirely out of Mercia miniatures. Yeah, Mercia werewolves. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I mean, this list here is incredibly mobile.
We got to keep smack talking for an hour, have we?
No, we don't have to. We planned on Rob joining us, but let's not.
Let's keep
another interesting one here. Yeah. Oh, we've got Andrew Whiteheads built a halfling list with the tournament restrictions, actually. So it's another good look at halflings. Have you played halflings in playtesting, Tone?
Once.
But
that was early on.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. I mean, he's got the obligatory Braves, which unlock everything for real cheap.
Yeah.
Look at that, 135 points for a horde with Relentless. And then as we go down, he's got his little Def 5 roadblocks, which are his chaff. Speed 5 chaff is always interesting. He has 2 of the Wild Runner melees. So this is interesting because it's not far. Like most of this early part, you could build it out of the box with the Halfling army list. I really like the ranged guys here. I think Speed 8, Nimble, being up to upgrade to the Piercing, I really like that as an option. 14 attacks. Yeah, I mean, they're still hitting on 5s, but I probably prefer them in troops, but I think that's really interesting. And we've got the Grenadiers, or the Grenadiers, as I like to say. Hope someone gets annoyed by that. Which are the really...
a special way of pronouncing it.
Yeah. The Brutal D3 is so cool on that. I mean, anything I think that's more than Brutal 1 is quite interesting. It's such a powerful rule, isn't it? Essentially, you're getting 1 to 3 free damage.
You're all that coupled with the Sorcerer, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad. 105 points, 9 attacks.
Speed 10, nimble.
Yeah, hell
yeah. Then we've got the other interesting, very, I guess, a very halfling unit, which is the Aeronauts, which is speed 7. And so bombing run, Tony, means that they always hit on 4s, regardless of modifiers. And you'll see there that they've got blast D3. So they're a super swingy unit that can go anywhere from kind of if you rolled everything, like if you didn't get anything, they could go from no hits to if you rolled the top, 9 3s, anywhere from 0 to 27 hits.
They're shooting whites.
Hey?
They're shooting whites. Like they're sort of roll the whites. They fly 7 inches. They crushing 2. Bombing run. Bloody hell.
Yeah, so really good unit. It hasn't been updated there yet, but they're very likely to be irregular, so you won't be able to ally them in. But super swingy unit, so like going anywhere from 0 to 27 hits is really interesting. You know, if you roll down, you're going to be lamenting it all day, but you roll up and your opponent will be.
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Yeah. And then he's got the Harvesters, which are affectionately known as the lawnmowers. Have you seen those models?
No.
Oh, let's get those. Let's get a little bit of
advertising Harvester.
Oh, damn it. Let's get their models up. Yeah, so the Harvester.
You do have to qualify that with halfling. You go in Harvester model, and you get Harvester model.
While that's loading, we'll go back to this. I don't even want to Google that, to be honest.
Look at that.
And
They're
then
pretty cool. Oh, yeah, they're real cool.
We've got the sorcerers. Obviously, internet's working at a premium today in Canberra. Where are we? Kings of War. Okay. All right. That'll come up. Where's our halflings? So this is a great release. I'm really, it's so tempting to buy. Do you want to buy me some for Christmas, Tony?
Sure.
Oh, you're a good man. Where's the lawnmower? There it is. It's in here. You can't buy it separately at the moment, it looks like. So just down here, we've got the troll pushing the essentially mincer-like thing. So the harvester, I think, is meant to harvest their grain or whatever, but then they've transferred it to use it in battle.
It's like a slightly pump wagon sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah. So that's cool. Then we've got the sorcerer with the sacred horn, which boosts those auras to 9 inches, which is really interesting. And then a muster captain on a winged dog.
Muster captain on a winged dog.
Yep.
But what's the scoop with the sorcerer? So what's the sacred horn do?
Extra aura. Extra aura. Range.
Extra sorcerers. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the gastromancer gets to pick between 3 auras per turn. Oh no, 4, sorry. Wild charge plus N, brutal N, life leech plus N, or rally N. So it's pretty. So what's interesting there is the differentiation between plus and just the N's too. So you couldn't combine it with the, you know how you were saying combine it with the sorcerer.
Yeah,
so
okay, doesn't take brutal.
Can't do it because it's not plus N. So you would just take the maximum value in a combat. Whereas the aura wild charge plus N can be really funky.
Bloody hell.
As can life leech.
And then you've got 1 inspiring plus rally. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, so there are a couple of the lists from what we've been playing in. We haven't had any questions come through, Tone, so we might even just have a quick episode tonight because God, my boys have ditched us. I mean, Jeremy's got an excuse. He's just got married yesterday and he's off on his dirty honeymoon. So good luck to Jeremy. Yeah, it's been a while since I had one of those.
Honeymoon.
Or a dirty one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'm almost at least 3 months.
Yeah. All right, mate. Well, I appreciate you joining me today.
My pleasure.
Yep. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, guys. Keep countercharging.